What's going on, y'all? It is Cop Pizzle, and we are all but 2 weeks away from the NFL draft. And man, I have some opinions and some thoughts, and it feels like to me things are starting to take shape. Okay, but I want to elaborate on my last video one more time before we get deep into this video. I said it in my last video. I feel like the Giants should be single for a little bit. And in case you missed it, I honestly believe that it would be healthy for the Giant fan base and healthy for this team to not have this tied up franchise quarterback relationship right now. Let's work on our team and not all be so focused on the quarterback position. Because look, the Titans, it looks like they're going to take Ward. After last week, it seems that the Browns are probably going to take Travis Hunter, right? Things can change. It changes by the hour. But it looks like Ward and Hunter are going to go 1-2, which leaves the Giants with, in my opinion, two options at 3. You either take Shedeur Sanders or you take Abdul Carter. I don't think that after what you've done with getting Kayvon and getting Burns, I don't know if it makes a whole lot of sense to get Carter. But I've came around some thoughts and some opinions, and I'm going to share that with you. The Giants had a large contingency, okay? Everybody and their mama in the front office and the coaching staff, from the GM, everybody showed up to the Colorado Pro Day. I think they did that because when you make a decision such as a franchise quarterback decision, you're going to bring everybody in. You're going to put everybody on the plane. Everybody's going to fly out there, and everybody's going to get their opinion heard. Right? Is this or is this not the guy? Because we have to hit on this. We have to. Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll, for their sake, they have to hit on this, no question. And all those that they've hired along with, to this team, we got to hit on this. And Shedeur, in my opinion, his fate on where he gets drafted really comes down to the Giants. Because if the Giants don't take Shedeur Sanders, I have a feeling that he is going to fall quite a ways down the ladder. I think there are teams out there that prefer Jackson Dart over Shedeur Sanders. I really believe that. Whether I'm right or wrong, it's what I believe. But look, maybe Shedeur is the answer. Maybe he is. Now, I think Shedeur, with the way he plays, personality, I think that there would be this once again, going back to what I said, I think the fan base would knock heads about their opinion of Shedeur. There's no question about it. I really feel like that, which is, again, I don't find that to be healthy for the fan base, and I don't know if that's healthy for the team. But, Shedeur, can he be the guy for this team? Is he the right fit? I don't think so. But if the Giants, again, they had this large contingency. If they as a group feel like he's the answer, then so be it. Right? So be it. We will support Shedeur with everything we got. Now, I will say this. If the Browns do take Hunter and Carter is there at 3, I feel like the best two players in this draft is Hunter and Carter. Okay? And as I said in my previous video, I don't know if we know what the ceiling is for Carter. Is he Micah Parsons 2.0? Who knows? I mean, it's possible. Could he be the best defensive player in this draft? It's very possible. It is very possible that he's the best player. He's the best player or even best defensive player in this draft. And when you look at the moves that the Giants have made this offseason in free agency, And if you think about the idea of adding a Carter, you're looking at a really sporty defense. And look, I know that there would be issues on the offensive side of the ball still, but defensively, they would look really nice. And I could see, a fun little package where you've got Kayvon, Carter, Burns, and even Dexter Lawrence out there, and you're just having a hell of a lot of fun rushing the passer, right? There's a lot of questions on how that would even work, right? But I could see the Giants doing this, and I could see Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen presenting this idea of, look, we'll make the defense as strong as we can make it. Probably the strongest it's ever been if you add Carter, right? Plus with the free agency moves. And we'll let the defense try to keep us in games. And even if they don't win games where it's really tight, like 20-21 games, 14-13, 17-16, 17-14, and that would be enough to maybe be able to keep their job at the end of the year, right? I don't think Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen have to make the playoffs in order to maintain their jobs. I'm not going to go that far. But I think if the quarterback position if there's stability brought to that position with Russell, with Winston and Wilson, then I think that they're able to take that to ownership and say, look, you get me a franchise quarterback now with this really good defense and the pieces we have on offense, now we can do something. And the ownership would be on board with that, right? But if you play games where it's 31-13, right, and your defense isn't playing great and the offense isn't scoring, then you're for sure fired, right? Now they could go the road of I think that this is a possibility. I think the Giants are going to draft a quarterback within the rounds of 1 through 4, right? Whether it's in the first round at the 3rd overall, or you take someone in the 3rd or 4th round, right? Do you take Milroe in the 2nd round? Do you take Will Howard, right? I mean, there's a handful of guys that you probably are not going to see them start week 1. But if Brian Daboll is this QB whisperer that everyone's claimed him to be, what is so wrong with taking Carter in the 1st round, bulking up the defense? Now you go get somewhat of a project pro quarterback. You've got 2 veteran quarterbacks that he can also learn from. You don't have this pressure of this franchise quarterback under this umbrella of a franchise quarterback weighing on him. Because if Shedeur gets drafted by the Giants, that pressure's there to turn the Giants around, right? Can he not handle that pressure? I'm not saying he can. I'm not saying he can't. But what I am saying is that if you draft a guy in the 3rd or 4th round, they don't have that pressure. Look, they want to be the starting quarterback, but they don't have this pressure from the fan base or even the media to save the franchise because you were drafted 3rd overall. Okay, and if you've got this great defense because of the things that you've done in free agency, now you add Carter to that mix. How much of QB play do you really need if the defense is out there fucking balling? Look, I understand it was 25 years ago, but the Ravens won a Super Bowl with the best defense and Trent Dilfer at quarterback, right? So I'm not saying that that's the model we're going for here, but my point being is I still believe that you can win in this league with a really strong, stout defense and a game manager at quarterback. I still believe that. I understand there's a lot of people that don't believe that, but I still believe that. Okay, so that's what I believe. But nevertheless, things are starting to take shape. I don't think Shedeur is the guy. I think the Giants have to take best player available because at the end of the day, we need dogs on this team. We need absolute dogs and we need talented players, no matter their position. We need talent, right? We need talent. And look, if you want to say Daniel, if you're one of these people that said Daniel Jones was a mistake, well, That's the same mistake you would be making here by drafting Shedeur third overall. Daniel Jones may have not deserved to be a 6th overall pick, but I don't think Shedeur Sanders deserves to be a 3rd overall pick. And I'm not saying Shedeur Sanders is not a first-round overall talent. I just don't know if he's the 3rd overall pick in the draft talent. So to me, you would be hypocritical by saying, well, you shouldn't have taken Daniel at 6 and then you take Shedeur at 3. That's just my opinion. But look, I have started to come around on what Joe Schoen has done with this team. I like the veteran. I like the idea of bringing veteran quarterbacks to the offense. And if you bulk up the defense with Carter in 2 weeks, that's enticing to me, right? It's very enticing. If you bring in a guy in the 3rd or 4th round at quarterback that you can say, hey, listen, learn from Wilson, learn from Winston, what you can. There's no pressure on you. When you're ready, we'll put you in there. And who knows, maybe we'll solve the quarterback, that problem, and we don't have to worry about it again next season or next offseason. But I feel like the franchise quarterback, quote unquote, that many people like to use, I don't think that that's going to be addressed in 2 weeks. We'll see, but that's kind of what I'm feeling right now. Unless the Giants went down to Colorado and the whole group flew back to Jersey and said, Shedeur Sanders is our guy. Now, I will say this. If the Browns don't take Travis Hunter, then I think the Giants are taking Travis Hunter. I do believe, I think that because, if the Browns end up taking Carter instead and give that Carter-Garrett mix, which would be deadly too, I think Travis Hunter is the pick for the Giants at 3. So how they view Carter versus Sanders, that's a different debate. I don't know. But that's kind of where my head's at right now. I think there's a lot of, as we get closer, I'll kind of go over where I think some guys could be picked in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th round by the Giants. Bring some names to you, present some names to you guys, but that's where I'm at right now on the big news or what's really the big thing. Because, look, let's be honest. If Shedeur Sanders is drafted 3rd overall, that's huge news, right? That's huge. And if the Giants skip him and don't draft him, that's also huge news as well.